have been locked down.
So with VPNs, they're basically acknowledging the fact that they do not understand the effects of VPNs on this data so far.
My Stop Drinking subreddit also got hit behind the data verification thing.
A new law has just made Steam lock adult games behind credit cards.
I can either give up my face or my ID to the government, or I can just suck it up and not have any emotional support from people around me.
Now, I already did a video a couple of weeks ago saying that the UK is absolutely cooked, finito, washed, done, into the garbage. If the UK government was a rank in 6 Siege, it would be dirty toilet paper 5. And the funny thing is as well, there was a huge petition to actually get Parliament to acknowledge how bad the Online Safety Act was. And it reached the point that they had to address it. And they basically went, nah, we're not even going to debate it. Nah. That sucks. I've already talked about the Online Safety Act in the previous video, but the quick rundown is basically to prove that you are over 18, you have to show your ID, which is a great way to keep like underage people out of adult spaces. But at the same time, to prove that you're over 18, you have to hand over your ID. And usually that is tied to, you know, some interesting things, like maybe what you kind of pull your little bean to or whatever. And obviously there's been a huge worry that basically anything you do or see will now be tracked, not just by cookies or whatever, but by your literal face and ID. They promise it'll be encrypted. They're not going to sell it, despite the fact that they're using like third-party American companies for this, and the fact that there could also be data breaches. Now, the biggest problem with this Online Safety Act is it changed so many platforms because they basically said you need a way to verify that people are over 18. If you can't do it, unlucky. We'll just blacklist you. And this is why VPNs have absolutely skyrocketed. I mean, a good example here is Steam. Steam didn't really have the facilities to do this verification. So in the UK, instead of using a debit card, which is what most people use, it like, you know, it's the first card you're given when you're a kid, like, you know, my first bank account kind of thing. Instead of a debit card, you now have to get set up with a credit card. It's not even an ID issue. That's because to apply for a credit card, you have to be over 18. But also one thing that's really funny about credit cards is, in my opinion, they're infinitely worse than debit cards, because with debit cards, if you run out of money, that's it. Like you're broke. But with credit cards, you can go into overdraft. And if you want to pay that back, there's interest as well. Isn't it convenient that the government have to make you use the card that gives more interest? Mandatory. That is very interesting. And I get that Steam have done that because a lot of people would rather use a credit card than actually have to use like their face and their ID, but it's still not a great workaround. I mean, a good example as well, in the UK, I'm not sure how it is in America, you know, everyone with their American Express and they get into the lounges at the airport and they get a free coffee or whatever. But in the UK, it's very different. There aren't really a lot of perks with having a credit card. There's actually 105 million people that have a debit card as opposed to just 59 million people that have a credit card. And again, credit cards, especially in the UK, are really bad. High interest rates, inflation, so funny. So funny, guys. Ha 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 ha. You know, the ability to overspend that I mentioned earlier, going into an overdraft. And if you want to pay the overdraft back, there is a huge interest cost. And again, like, you're giving this ability where you can go into an overdraft to gamers. Like, do you not understand how stupid people on Steam are with their money? Have you seen like inventories for like CSGO knives that they're trading constantly? Have you seen people playing gacha games and how much money they're spending on there? Like there are a lot of people that are just absolute degenerates, and they cope to themselves saying it's not gambling, even though it basically is. So it just goes to show this is not a good idea. Wikipedia has also been having a really hard time with this new act that was brought in as well. I did actually talk about this in my previous video, because what the UK wanted them to do is announce who their voluntary editors are for like transparency reasons. And obviously they didn't want to do that. They wanted to protect them. Like, for example, if there's an editor who's being critical of a certain country that they live in and they get exposed, some certain bad things might happen to them. Well, it seems that after court, Wikipedia have lost the battle. Unsurprisingly, the UK government won, and this is now being implemented. I mean, Wikimedia even said to try and bypass the law, they would actually have to limit the amount of people that would be allowed onto their website once a month to drop it out of being a category 1 website, so it wouldn't be part of this new law. Now, these changes actually haven't came into effect, and there could possibly be some good news, because it's actually been stated that the court's decision has left the door open for Wikipedia to be exempt from these stricter rules upon review. And I mean, Wikipedia, okay, everyone does memes about it, about how you can just edit any sources, but at the same time, it is genuinely one of the best places to get information. And if it has to get like limited or shut down because of like the UK gooning bill, this is like the biggest example of government overreach in years. Now, there are other places on the internet that also are not happy with this ban, like for example, 4chan, and they're actually issuing legal complaints to Ofcom, and they're basically saying that because they're an American-based website, they shouldn't have to comply with UK laws, even saying that American citizens do not surrender our constitutional rights just because Ofcom sends us an email. They're actually seeking right now to prove in US courts to rule if their business is located in America and has no presence in the UK law shouldn't be able to do anything about it. Now, because of this, 4chan were slapped on the hand and given a bill of $20,000, a fine. They just didn't pay it. They didn't pay it. It's like, okay, that's great. Unlucky for you, I guess. Now, if the US courts do actually find that 4chan is in the right and they say that Ofcom are actually breaching the First Amendment, this could be like a huge blow for the Online Safety Act. You know, companies like Pornhub or Reddit, they could actually be backed up. They could set up in America and completely bypass regulations that the UK are trying to implement. I never thought I'd see the day where 4chan and Reddit would be on the same side. Now, obviously, because of this Online Safety Act going into place, VPNs have absolutely skyrocketed. And the UK government doesn't like this because it's basically the one way to kind of circumvent the new law. And they can't really do anything about it at the minute. So they're getting quite angry. I have literally seen people on TV saying how, oh, well, VPNs are very dangerous, and you're putting people at risk by using a VPN. Disgusting behavior from you. How could you do such a thing? Think of the British people. How could you? Okay, look, if you want to look at BBC, it's okay if we know that. And it possibly has a data breach and gets leaked online. It's okay. There was actually a report from the BBC, not that one. Get it out your head. You've got a dirty mind, very dirty mind. No, the British Broadcast Corporation. They actually reported that there was an 1800% spike in VPNs being downloaded. Now, the problem is most people are brokies. They are flat broke. They are neats. They are wages. They would not pay for a VPN, even if a YouTuber goes, use my code on screen. So a lot of these VPNs actually they're free to use. They just obviously have inbuilt ads that pop up on your screen, like Temple Run or something. Now, realistically, right now, there is no actual way that they can implement a VPN ban. I mean, there's a lot of ways to detect if you're using a VPN, like streaming sites and stuff that are getting very smart towards this. If they detect that you're bouncing your IP address, they will immediately just stop serving you content. But again, it's actually a lot harder to regulate this stuff on specific sites. And on top of this as well, VPNs aren't static. They're like systems that are constantly evolving as well because they have to. I mean, you can compare them to like cheats in video games, right? When someone's doing like the sniper spin bot in like CS2 or something.
Clara, what the fuck?
These cheats will get detected. They will be banned. By the time that happens, 2 weeks later, they'll have an updated version. It's this constant cat and mouse game. I mean, you even had the tech secretary, Peter Kyle, and it actually came out saying that the Labour government isn't looking at patching this method of banning VPNs because they don't know how to. Now, this is one of the more sadder things about the Online Safety Act because, like I said, a lot of companies, they weren't actually able to provide the means to verify your age, or they flat out didn't want to. So they've had a lot of their services in the UK pulled, which again would want to make you use a VPN more. Like, for example, obviously there were loads of subreddits where people would talk about drugs and trying to quit them and sober up. And these are now people that don't want to be ID'd because they're talking about very personal things and they wanted to post anonymously. And so they've kind of stopped using these sites. But there's actually been apps and sites that have been hit pretty hard as well. Like, for example, there's a really popular app called I Am Sober. And this is an app where you can basically track how long you've been sober off anything, you know, alcohol, nicotine, drugs, weed, like just anything under the sun. It's basically an app that just reminds you how long you've been sober off something. It gives you this little timeline. So, you know, if you ever think of like doing the thing that you're trying to quit, then you'll see that reminder and think, okay, if I do this, I'm going to undo all of that progress. I'm probably not going to do that. Now, that is still available in the UK. You can download the app right now and you get this little timer that shows you how long you've been sober from whatever vice it is. But one of the more important things is there's actually a community tab. And the community tab is where people basically come together. Like, for example, if you hit a milestone like 1 day, 5 day, 10 day, a month, a year, you'll be put into a group with other people who have also hit this milestone. And again, if you can talk to other people about the issues that you've got, and, you know, maybe if you're thinking about relapsing just to get a little hit of something, you can probably reach out to people, talk to them, and they'll probably think, okay, this is, you know, I get it. You've been there. Here's some coping mechanisms I use, because most of the time, genuinely, if you want to get over some kind of vice and you get an urge, the best thing you can do is talk to someone or like play a video game. Like distracting yourself to get your brain focused on something else is the best way to overcome that stuff. And because of the age restrictions in the UK, the app is still available, but this community tab has been completely shut down because of these restrictions. I mean, it blows my mind that the UK has taken that chat away from people, you know, implying that anyone that might have some kind of like drug use disorder or some mental health issue or self-harming, they're definitely over 18. No one under the age of 18 does that. What? Are you silly? No one can have the chat now. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. And another terrible thing that's happened after this is it seems that like world news is actually getting censored in the Online Safety Act. Now, don't worry, I'm not talking about traditional TV. No one watches that except our parents and our grandparents. Like, come on. But I'm talking more about like places like Twitter, Reddit. Like there's footage of Ukraine, Palestine, the current wars that are happening, and they're actually being blocked on sites like Twitter and Reddit. And that's because like these news companies are so scared of being penalized, they're actually blocking things that people probably should be informed about. And this also creates a very scary concept of like controlled information on the internet. I'm sure you've all seen the film V for Vendetta. I'm not saying the UK's there yet. I'm not saying that. We're at least a third of the way there, okay? And the UK government is aware that people are being very critical about the Online Safety Act. There was actually a UK government Online Safety Act meeting, and there was a tech expert that was kind of going against the grain, saying this is a really bad idea. And they just straight up called him a pedo. Like, so yeah, it just goes to show the UK at the minute, absolutely washed. Absolutely washed. But don't worry, whatever country you're in, it'll happen to you too.